Welcome back to my channel Chats with Shaz. We're going to continue where we left off with Dakar263. I would just like to add in, if you enjoyed the previous video, please hit that subscribe button and the thumbs up below. It really helps with the channel. Kama, that program, that famous program Top Gear, out of the three guys, who do you identify with? Clarkson, May or Hammond? You as a personality.
So me, I like to say Hammond, maybe, with a bit of Clarkson. I don't know. So,
and why?
Reason being is, so as you may know, Hammond is reckless, and he likes to crash cars, and he likes to enjoy himself.
Balls to the wall.
And maybe Clarkson, his humor. Yeah, he's one of the funniest. If I can just say who I may think these two are.
Yeah. Because I want the opinion of you as well.
Ash, yeah. Clarkson with a touch of May, and Graham May.
May's the boring old fart, isn't he?
Well, so there's Graham.
Responsible, has all the knowledge, has
all good, and
keeps everyone in track.
So
right?
maybe Clarkson with a touch of May, because Ash can have the serious side to him. Quite often when it's like race day, he's like straight down the line. Everything has to be done in order, and I'm like, hey, come on, just mix it up a bit. And then Graham is even straighter down the line. Everything's perfect, everything's in order. His timekeeping is on point. The pits are absolutely spotless. The tents are always perfect. The floor's always swept. Everything is just perfection. So like I said earlier, having these different characters and different attributes to our team, it creates such a strong structure in our team that it can push us so far. Such different personalities.
And Graham, how do you believe you fit in?
I think I'm a Clarkson with two Hammonds. No, I think look, I would say some Clarkson in me, because I can be quite opinionated and won't do things unless I feel it's going to be for the better.
I thought you would be a Clarkson. I had you as Clarkson.
But I think it's amazing sort of relational or analogy to compare us to those guys. I think our characters are unique and they do come through. I think the privilege for me is to be in a team with guys who have the same passion for the race, and I'm excited for where their skill set can take them. It's no secret I'm not the fastest rider. My navigation is my strong point, and I think to have these guys, my role in trying to get them up to speed on the navigation, and then it's really up to them. But mental fortitude, your navigation, and knowing when to twist the throttle are probably the most important things. And I've seen a lot of guys, even my short journey, who I was alongside at some point, and then they've dropped by, and it was often because they raced at the wrong time. Instead of there's so many times in the Dakar where you've just got to hold yourself back, and I always say to myself, sure, I could have finished 10-15 places ahead, but I could have risked the whole race in doing that.
Well, I think there's the camaraderie of the race day as well. I mean, I realized that when I used to run long distance, and Comrades Marathon was very much like that, whereas on the day of the race, so much can go wrong, and that's when you fall back on using your team members, but also the guy next door to you, and where he can help you one day, you might be able to give back and help the next day. So there's definitely a camaraderie that happens. And maybe that's what you're building here now.
Yeah, I think, I didn't really know these guys too well prior to my Dakar foray. I mean, I was overseas for a long time, so I wasn't really well known in the Zimbabwean motorsport fraternity at all. But it's amazing how the sport brings people together and opens doors. And I can tell you now, I could talk for 15-20 minutes about how many people helped me with my Dakar journey in terms of plotting the waypoints I had to get to in the 2 years before it. And that's the great thing I can hand over is, here's so-and-so in Botswana, talk to these guys in Joburg, here's Bart.
Connections. relationships.
Yeah, that's the fraternity of rally is such a, you know, and you see it all the time. Toby Price in the bivouac. I mean, Ross Branch was on our team. He won a stage, and the next minute the whole KTM team were in our pits, sitting at our table, eating our pasta. You know, because they said, "Oh, this looks different to the KTM pasta." You know, so you just, it's such a leveling environment, the Dakar, because
Humbling.
the desert is the
Takes
same
you.
to anyone, whether
Yeah.
you're Toby Price or Ash Thixton. You're going to ride the same dune at some point. So, yeah, it's just such a unique opportunity, and I just feel so not responsible, but so committed to sharing the opportunity. And I know these guys with their riding ability, and if we can address the preparation, the sponsorship, the navigation, and get as many of our ducks in a row, it's going to be an amazing story for Zim. And I know it's coming. So in a way, they're in the dark,
Yeah.
and I'm so
they're
excited for
relying
what
on
they're
you.
about to
Yeah.
embrace, because that 5 days before the race starts, you're in Jeddah, you're in Riyadh. They're the longest days of your life, because you're getting closer and closer to the start.
So, going on from here, Graham, you talk about sponsorship, which we're going to get onto. But before you get there, I mean, you need a bike, you need equipment, but you also need to qualify. So, can you just give us a bit of background on how you actually qualify for this race?
Sure. So, look, due to the nature of the race and how challenging it is, they don't let any old Joe go and compete in the Dakar. So you've
Any
actually,
old farmer
yeah, you've got to apply.
like yourself.
And then in order to prove your caliber and your credentials, you've got to go and do, you know, I think when I did it was 4 to 5 international FIM races. The beauty of their background is it speaks a lot for their existing qualities and their skill and their mental fortitude. So I'm hoping, in light of the current pandemic as well, and the disruption to qualifiers, that these guys will get away with 2. But the more the better. The more experience you go into something like this, the better it helps you. So at the moment, it's sort of taking whatever opportunity comes up. We've got one down in the Northern Cape, the Tankwa Rally, which we're hoping to get to, borders and COVID depending. And then there's 2 big races in Morocco that are reasonably easy to get to for us. The Rally du Maroc, there's the Morocco Desert Challenge, there's the Mazuga, and either of those 3 would certainly help, or at least 2 of those 3. But I think the other big one, which I really want to push for, is to get the team over to Spain, to the KTM headquarters, the rally headquarters. I've formed a relationship with Jordi Villadoms and Tina, and they literally run the training program for the KTM factory team. You ride their same road books, you ride the factory rally bikes, and that I wish I'd done that sooner in my journey. So it's one of these examples of learning from my journey and saying, hang on, that I should have plugged in at the beginning, because I would have navigated so much better. So as soon as we can get there, they will all feel so much more comfortable, and they're at least starting into a rally having had a week of intensive sort of 10 hours a day of roadbook training for 5 to 6 days.
That's going to be vital, because that's kind of like new ground for you guys. I mean, you've raced KTM most of your lives, right? You've always ridden KTM, but it's that side of it, that technical side now, that is going to be new.
10 hours on the bike. Yeah, I'm yet to do that. I'm yet to do that. In total time on the bike, but 10 hours at each time.
Yeah.
I mean, what more could you want? 10 hours on a bike. Awesome.
And the nature of the qualifiers is they incrementally get harder. So you don't go and do one of the harder ones first, and then you finish like the Rally du Maroc, and it's probably technically more challenging than the Dakar, but it's a shorter duration.
Right, so it's phased.
But you finish that thinking you're feeling quite pleased with yourself, because you navigated the really difficult stuff. Everyone says, okay, now you're ready for Dakar, and you start believing that you're ready for Dakar. You are, but you're not prepared for what
really is
the magnitude of Dakar. I mean, it just, the whole experience, it's hard to describe, and it's something I don't think does justice to trying to describe it. You've got to get there, you've got to feel it, and everyone who's been involved knows the Dakar vibe, and it's life changing. I don't use that word lightly, but you come out of Dakar and nothing's impossible. And
it's not a great spectatorship sport, right? Because it's of the distances, so it's something that you have to follow on TV. You don't have any support back in the bivouacs and stuff, do you? I mean,
I
you
think
have to
the
be.
bivouac is this lot. That's your home.
So but there's no like team back there that can support you, like your wives
family,
and your girlfriends
friends,
and your friends.
Yeah.
They're sitting there
I
either
mean,
on TV
Yeah, if
watching.
you've got deep pockets, you can buy a supporters pass. But if you take the logistics of Dakar, it's a moving military type event where
Yeah.
there's 5,000 people moving through the desert with this huge support network behind them. So any hangers-on who are not actually involved
You're gonna get lost
intimately
in
are just a liability or a
Yeah.
cost, and it's extra food, extra toilets, extra water. So it's simply that moving caravan is racers and support crew, medics, doctors and pilots,
Yeah.
and then the catering crew that look after you from a food wise. So it's you leave a bivouac in the morning and 800, 900 k's later you arrive in another one and they're almost identical. So
Yeah.
the logistics are mind blowing. And Saudi is a new country. They opened up to tourism a year ahead of the Dakar in 2020. So there's no hire cars are not
Yeah.
easily to come
Just-
by. So I think it will change, and you'll get sort of little camper van type supporter groups where the wives and the girlfriends and the friends and family can get to a crossing point over a motorway, and you get 15
Yeah.
minutes watching. But
Yeah.
yeah, it's definitely not a race that is friendly towards the private supporter.
And when we're talking about sponsorship now, I mean, this sort of a rally doesn't come cheap, and you obviously don't have the finances for each of you guys to put in. What is your campaign? Tell us more about your campaign and how people can get involved.
So we are Dakar263. That's the campaign we are pushing. First thing that we want to push forward is the Dakar263, and in the Dakar263 is us. 263 being our Zimbabwe
Calling code.
calling code.
Yeah.
So that's quite cool. But then there comes the next step of approaching people. The very tough question of having to ask for money. I mean, anybody struggles with that. So having that, our backgrounds, where we've put it all into our proposal, and we've laid everything out that we need to get to the Dakar is in our proposal. And it's not going to be easy, but it's also character building in that sense of having to get to the Dakar. I mean, that's one of the steps, I'm sure, and Graham's told it to us. He says it's not all about on the bike. It's sometimes the toughest part is
The work beforehand.
getting there.
Yeah.
Yeah, so also, like approaching somebody, like who would ever think that you would walk
Consider-
into someone's office in your number ones and say, listen, here's a proposal, I'm asking you for money. It's like Ash said, it's growing not only our bike time, our training time, fitness, all that kind of thing. It's our life skills which are growing as well, and
Good
it's
point.
it's bringing out so many things that it's growing us as people and increasing our like confidence, knowing people, not necessarily for racing, but even in the business world. That guy will say, this guy's actually doing something for the sport, for the country, and it brings communities together that, and in such a good way that it brings, like
Well, let's hope.
yeah.
For a
great,
country
yeah.
like Zimbabwe, who's gone through so much turmoil, and it's a where we've been so splintered, and it's also great to bring that unity back together. And in talking unity, Graham, part of the journey takes you through some amazing backdrops of parts of Zimbabwe that people never see, some pristine areas and communities, kamushas, that sometimes haven't even seen a motorbike. So through your GoPros, you're going to have incredible footage that you've confirmed you've been able to talk to ZTA through the tourism boards to showcase some of that, so that people in Zimbabwe can actually follow your journey.
Yeah, I think so. We've had initial discussions with the Ministry of Tourism about using this platform to showcase the best of Zimbabwe. The nature of our training means we've got to build up a huge amount of hours on the bike. We can't do it around the motocross track. There's a place for that in our preparation, but we need to be doing 600-700 kilometer days, which takes you to the boundaries of the country. So that's typically the low-lying areas, the low-fault Eastern Highlands, Kariba, Zambezi Valley, Matobo. They're all wilderness areas that that we can get on back roads away from traffic, but try and replicate some of the terrain and the circumstances that help you as a rally rider. That's making decisions around corners. There's donkeys, goats, chickens, washaways, broken bridges. They're all things that just hone your rideability in an unknown environment, because you don't pre-run the Dakar, so you don't know what's coming around the corner. So yeah, I mean, my personal journey at Dakar 2020 was my Dakar Safari being adventure in Swahili, and my riding in Kariba and the Zambezi Valley from the age of 10 or 12 was, I decided under a baobab tree pre-2013 that I wanted to go to Dakar. So it's a wilderness where we're on our own. It's a good testing pot for the experience, riding in the dark early in the morning, navigating, getting lost, testing each other, and trying to make it as grueling as we can. You train how you want to fight, as they say. So the tougher the training, the better we'll perform. So we've got to be creative. And I always say to the guys, imagine someone in Paris trying to prepare for the Dakar. Where do they go to train? They've got a couple of beaches that they can get the sand, but we've got the best training in the world. I mean, you just look at Zimbabwe. It's got all the beautiful. You've got sand, you've got rocks, you've got rivers. It's got everything. So yeah, it's an amazing opportunity.
I think without you guys even knowing, you're probably quite a few people's heroes already. I know our son saw you guys, Ash, first as one of his biking heroes, and then now he gets to call you brother-in-law. So without knowing who you're inspiring and who's like following you, it's a great way if you follow them on Dakar263. Is that your
Zimbabwe? Yeah.
So
Yes.
we'll put up their
Catch us in our lively activities there.
Yeah. So they'll be putting up a lot more stuff. So follow the journey there, and they will showcase some incredible parts of Zimbabwe that probably even as a safari person you would never even see. So good luck on the race, guys. And I wish you all the very best. And I know that Zimbabwe is behind you, and it's just going to be an incredible journey for you guys. So yeah.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for being with us today.
Good to chat. Having us.
So what I've done here,
Yes, he's got a mop there.
like as you can see, I've got a mullet.
Mullet's not a hairstyle, it's a lifestyle.
Yeah, like Toby says, party in the front. No, what did he say? Business in the
You
front,
gotta get the hairstyle right.
party at the back, and party always gets bigger.